Is my slide is visible? Hello?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. Today we will start the concept called barriers to communication. So what is barriers to communication? As we studied in previously, the communication is a transformation of information between two or more than two people. So if you see this image, the information should transform between these two group of people, but obstacle or the barrier, so it disrupting the communication. So the communication barrier are those factors that produces obstacles in the way of reaching message to the receiver. So if sender is sending the message and the receiver is giving the feedback, but here because of this disruption or obstacle, the barrier is created. So this is the concept of communication barrier. So the communication barrier means whatever the factors or things that produces the obstacles in the way of reaching the message from sender to receiver, we call as a communication barrier. So next concept is noise. So what is noise? So any voice, signal, sound that interferes with the proper sending and receiving of the message is called as noise. For example, sender is sending the message to receiver. So any noise, it may be physical noise or any technical glitch, whatever thing, the message is not delivered proper to the receiver, that thing we call as a noise. You should remember in the broader meaning, noise is not just a physical sound. It is not a physical sound or not a loud voice. It may be the other things like as our psychological noise. For example, I am teaching in the class to student, but students mind something is happening. They are not other things. Then that is called as psychological noise. So that's why noise is not only the in the forms of this physical manner. It will happens in the forms of poor handwriting. If my handwriting is poor, if you are not able to understand my handwriting, that is also considered as noise. Or if I am speaking very slowly, and my accent of speaking is not as convenient for the receiver, then also it is considered as the noise. The noise is in general, we can consider any distractions or disruptions that creating the barrier for effective communication. So in general, what we consider noise means any loud voice, any other physical distractions, we generally know known as a noise. But noise in the general or broader thing, we can consider all the things, whatever things or matters with distracting the proper communications, we call as a noise. For example, noise may also occur in the form like poor handwriting, heavy accent, or soft speech. Communication in poor light room means in classroom, if proper lighting is not there, illumination is not there, there is a dim light, communicating, or if you are demonstrating anything, then it will not consider as a effective communication. The diminished light is considered as noise in this context. Or I am using microphone in the classroom, but the microphone is creating unusual sound, then that is also considered as noise. Noise in the sense anything that is disrupting the effective communication. See here, the sender is sending the message, the receiver is receiving the message. The sender sending message, that one we called as encode. The receiver is receiving the message and he will decode and he will understand. But because of these noises, message is getting interrupted. The receiver is not properly receiving the message and the sender is also have difficulty in the sending the message because of this noise. Noise is nothing but barriers, disruption that is creating the barrier for effective communication. That is the concept of noise and barriers in the communication. Then in a broader sense, this is the classification of barriers to communication. The first one is physical environmental barriers. Here the physical environmental things act as a barrier for the communication. Time, place, space, climate, noise. Here noise means the physical noises because of climatical noises. Then choice of medium. So these are comes under the physical or environmental barriers. Then barriers by wrong choice of medium. For example, if I want to certain people want to use, actually I want to use WhatsApp video call, but the same thing if I am using by text medium, then it is not conveying the proper message or efficient communication. So the wrong choice of medium of transferring the message is also one of the barrier for causing the barrier, that is wrong choice of medium. Then next one is semantic barriers. Semantic barriers means varied connotative meanings. So we will discuss this in later this semantic barriers in detail. Then cultural barriers. It is because of diversity of cultures, because our culture is different and somebody culture is different. The same thing we are doing differently in different cultures. Then also the communication will not happens effectively because of diversity in cultures. Then the psychological or attitudinal barriers, the psychological things, they are acting as a barriers for proper communication, like moods, attitudes, relationship. Yes, caused by varying perception or reality, because it is level of understanding and comprehension. We will discuss in detail one by one. The first one is the physiological barriers. So what is physiological barriers? The barrier to effective communication may come from receiver's physical state. Receiver's physical state is known as physiological barrier. For example, a person with reduced hearing may not fully understand the conversation, especially if there is a background noise. What is the physiological barriers? It means the distraction of communication will happen by a physiological function. For example, hunger, fatigue, head- headache. If around 12 to 1 p.m. class, if I am taking the class, even though I am taking the class very interestingly, students are in the state of hunger. Their physiological status is hunger. They need the food. Then they will not attend you in my class at that time because of their physiological condition. That is, because of they are hungry, they are not listening properly. That is a barrier. The hunger, the physiological condition is acting here as a barrier. That is called as physiological barrier. Then fatigue. If students are fatigued or they are overloaded, then also even though you are giving very good, interesting class, because of fatigueness, they will not listening properly. The receiver not receiving the proper message because of his fatigueness. So because of these physiological barriers, whatever thing, the physiological things, they are acting as a barrier for communication. We called as a barrier. Our physiological conditions, if they are acting as a disruption or communication or receiving the knowledge, then it is called as physiological barrier. Here the receiver physical state is important. The sender physiological state is good, but receivers, students, for example, receiver, the students physiological hunger, fatigue, of his physiological status, or we can also consider health, they are attentive in the class, called as physiological barrier. Up to this, all of you understood? Any doubt? Hello?
Yes, sir, understood.
The next one is physical barriers. So physical barriers are nothing but the geographical distance between the sender and receiver is known as a physical barrier. The communication is easier and more effective when sender and receiver are shorter distance. But the communication is difficult when sender and receivers are long distance. So because the noise created by place, time, climate, and space constitute the physical communication barriers. For example, I am in Karnataka, someone is in Jammu. I am contacting him, but in Jammu, there is a heavy rain. Because of this climate changes, I am not able to properly communicating this person. So that's why the time, climate, place, that will create this some certain disruption. That type of noise or barrier we called as a physical barrier. For time, how? For example, I am in India. My friend is in USA. So tomorrow is his birthday. So if I want to wish him in India, the night 12 night 12 in USA 12 p.m. To wish him at 12 o'clock, there is a time difference is there. So then the when we uh, acting as a barrier here. If I want to wish him at as his birthday, then I here in India it is night, but in USA it is morning. So that's why the time is also one of the barrier for effective communication. This time barrier is especially more impact on this online classes. In some of the classes, as I seen, the different world participants are participating. If I am keeping the class at 5 p.m. to according to the Indian time, then they should attend the meeting in this some night. There may be morning in their country, or if I or night. So like that, the time is also acting as a barrier, one of the barrier. That's why it's also called as, but it is considered as a physical barrier. So all of you understood what is the physical barrier? And it is also includes
sir.
the traffic noise, poor lighting. What are the physical and climate changes that will act as a barrier for proper communication? For example, if you are taking class, some the abnormal sound from roadside traffic sounds are coming. The college is near to road. Then it is also called physical noise. Then semantic barriers. Semantic is the science of meaning. A word can have many meanings. Semantic barriers arises due to the difference in the meaning people attach to the word. This can be subdivided into. For example, if I write like this, what you understood?
8.
Can anyone tell?
8. Infinity.
This is so like that. Some words or some
8.
messages. Yes, some messages in different. Sometimes they are perceiving it differently. Sometimes if I write like this, it will 8. If I write whether it is 8 or infinity or another symbol. So this is called semantic. The word can have many meanings, or the perceiver, the receiver will confuse. So that type of barrier is called as semantic barrier. For example, it is divided into word barriers, word interruption, word interruption. For example, if I so write like this, so you will confuse. Someone will read immediate, someone will confuse what is. So this type of perceiving different meaning, it is creating the different meaning in the different people. So then it is called as a semantic barriers. All of you understood the concept, understood the concept. Semantic barrier means it is have many meanings because of proper things, or it will not be you are not we are not we are using in the jargon form or any technical language. If I am telling very technical language also if I use, then sometimes you may not understood the that concept, or the different person will differently understood that thing we called as semantic barriers. The word interpretation changes according to the situation, according to the condition. In Ayurveda also, in Padartha Jnana we learn that is, can anyone give one of the example, that is the word we can sign the sign the in the context we can consider it as a salt. Sometimes it is a name of horse. All of you aware of this concept? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So in Padartha, I am also not exactly remember, but this type of concept is there. Then when the white word Saindav is there, someone will perceive it as a Saindav Lavan. Someone will perceive it as a horse. The both are possible. In Padartha Jnana we will learn in the context. I don't know, remember, but anyone with subject related can explain here also. There is a concept in Padartha Vijnana we will learn. The same thing we called as a semantic barriers. The word interpretation will changes here. It will the sign though someone understand it as 11 sign though at the same time. So word interpretation is changing according to the different persons. Then it is called as barriers, because it is a barrier. If everyone is not getting the sign though means sign though, some context it is considered as hard. The example may be wrong. Just I am giving the idea. That particular word is there. That particular word is giving different meaning for different situation and conditions. When we have understand that particular meaning in the record according to the context, we will learn in the other business. That type of concept is called as a semantic barriers. Gestures also, sometimes any gesture of that particular person we will not understood by correctly. Understanding the gesture by differently, my friend is understanding differently. So that is giving the proper communication to the receivers. And language translation, sometimes if Kannada to Hindi, if you translate some note, or if you read Kannada, that is giving different sense or meaning. If you read same matter in the Hindi, that will give this some other sense. Almost the similar in some context, you will feel that the feeling is different, understanding is different. For example, dubbing of movies. If you see the movie in your own, that gives the feel of different. If you see in the dubbing, then that is same with same scene, you will have different feeling. So that is the language translation is the semantic barriers. And signs and symbols also. Sometimes the people will, different persons will understand different time. Then two meanings means the meaning different in the different different for persons and timing. That type of word translation or word meanings have creating the some barriers that are called as semantic barriers. For example, here this person is telling we are going to increase budget. The people in front of him, one is thinking, oh, we are getting a rise, but in this person, so we having the movements. He is telling I am increasing the budget, but the understanding of this person is getting raise. Budget is increasing, matlab we are getting raise. Mera salary बढ़ जाएगा differently. But here he is thinking, oh, extra equipments or extra work or anything is adding in the our organization. So understanding of that same word in the different persons from different things, then it is called as a semantic barrier. The next one is organizational barriers. Organizational barriers in organizational barriers. Organization means, for example, school, colleges, any business, what we call business setup, hospital. So these things we called as a organizations. So in organizational barriers, there are two. Usually we divide in two types. That is organizational structure barrier and organizational climate barriers. In the structure of organization only there is a problem, then the communication is not properly happening, because structure of organization, the communication is not taking effect. We will discuss in detail what are the things. Then organizational climate barriers. The organization is good, but climate, the environment in that college institution is not good. Some factors, the workers or faculties are not communicating properly in that environment. Because of that, climate is not good. That climate is acting as a barrier communication in between the faculties and organization. That is organizational climatic barriers. In this organizational barriers, we have some concepts. How this organizational barriers are working. For example, organization rules and regulations. Certain rules and regulations are acting as a barrier in the organization. For example, you don't talk to each other, or you can't go directly to the higher authority, and these type of rules and regulations are acting as a barrier in the organization. there is a certain rules. You have to give the first letter. For example, is there any political party? If you are a worker of that party, then you want to meet that highest leader in that party. Then you have to go for district level head of that party, then the state level head, then national level head, and then you will go for the highest head, that is president of the party. So like that, rules and regulation in organization sometimes acting as a barriers in the effective communication. The worker should not directly go to the president of the that parties. Like that, this is example. So certain rules and regulations in the organization are acting as a barrier in the effective communication. Next one is facilities, organization facilities. Facilities in that organization, they are not giving the proper facilities. For example, no lack of internet facilities, lack of computers. So if I want to mail some official matter to the another college, then there is no internet facility in that organization, that acting as a barrier in the effective communication. So this is called organizational barriers. Then complex organization structure. Sometimes organization structure is very complex. For example, simple one is, for example, this is principal, HOD, and assistant. This is simple. For example, if dean, someone is someone authority is created under him, and under him another authority is created, then it comes to the HOD, then it comes to the assistant. So if you complexing the structure of the organization, that is also barrier for the communication, effective communication. So whether you understood or not this thing, organizational barriers. Organization means school, hospitals, companies, political party, anything. If the structure is itself is acting as a barrier for communication, then it is called structural barrier. If climate, the environment of that organization is not good, then it is acting as a barrier, then it is called as a organizational climatic barrier. For example, in some colleges, some companies, the workers will hesitate to talk to each other in that campus, because they will think that if you talking each other, the management or is thinking something about us, they can issue the notice. So that's why they will fear and they will don't communicate properly. That type of organizational environment we call as a organizational climatic barriers. Then psychological or individual barriers. Psychological condition of a person is also influencing the how he receives the message. That is also acting as a one of the barrier. For example, there are variety of mental and psychological issues that can obstruct effective communication, such as fright, speech disorder, depression, anger, fear, jealousy, insecurity. So psychological condition of a person can hamper the effective communication. Like that, the number of psychological barriers are there in the affecting the communication. For example, filtering. First one is filtering. Filtering means if higher authority is sending some message to the lower authority, so the intermediate persons are filtering some informations. They are purposefully not giving the full messages to the lower authority or lower workers. They will only give the some information. They are psychologically intentionally thinking that why all the information should be told to the working people. Only how much needed, that thing they will giving the lower. While you joining any organization or institution, they will think that why in this stage only we will tell all the rules and regulation to the joining person. He will only tell some information, for example, salary, some hidden rules and regulations. They are intentionally not telling because they think that this is not needed now for these people. That is psychological thinking of that person. That is filtering of the message. That is filtering the information. That is also one of the barrier. Then next, assumptions means what? If I am a worker in the particular college, then I am assuming that if I am doing uh, some research papers, if I am attending workshops, seminars, then my college will giving me or increases my salary or hike in the salary or whatever thing. If I am assuming without any document, if they not increased my salary after 1 year, I will go for the dissatisfying. So assuming is also one of the barrier for the effective communication. They are not given in the manifesto that if research papers are published, you will get the salary hikes. There is that appraisal form. In appraisal form, to increase the salary if they are not mentioned in that particular college, but you are assuming if I am doing this work, definitely my salary is high. Then that type of assumptions are creating the non-effective community. Then you will go and ask the management why you are not increasing, because they are not given in the appraisal form. They are not given in legally, but you are assuming and you are doing. If they are provided you appraisal form, if you do this type of things, we will increase salary yearly. Then it is okay. But without this proper knowledge, if you are assuming and doing the things and you are expecting the salary, then it is called as psychological barrier. So that is assumption of yourself. Then degree of trust. Degree of trust means if person A is telling person B something, if person B how much he trusts to the person A, that that is also factor for communication. For example, if A person is very good person, B is trusting fully for A, then whatever thing the person A tells, the B will receives effectively. If person B is not having proper trust in the person A, then whatever the things A will tell, then the B will not receive effectively, because he does not trust. Even though the A person is telling good, he will not receive the all the things from A because he does not have trust. Because of trust issues, he will not receiving the proper knowledge or information. So the trust is also acting as a barrier for the this effective communication. So as point by point I am telling this, the pictures are also symbolizing because of fear. If because of fear also, if I am telling this thing to the higher authority, if they can do anything, so like that of fear is also acting as a barrier for effective communication. If I go to the higher authority, what action punishment will taken by this? So that type of fear, because of that of type of fear, number of people will not communicate with the higher. They will simply leave the job. So any harassments, anything. So because of fear, they will not communicating to the higher authority. That fear is also acting as a barrier in the effective communication. And suspicious and prejudice and emotional stress. Because of emotional stress, you will also not receiving the proper knowledge. For example, you are in very anger condition, even though whatever thing I am telling to you, you will think that I am telling you bad, because you are in the emotion of anger state. So that's why the emotional states also acting as a barrier for the effective communication. Then resistance to change. Resistance to change means the person is not in the condition not to change. Whatever the person tells to this receiver, he or she will not ready to change his behavior or change his knowledge. They will tell that whatever they know, that is the right. It is resistance to change is also barrier for effective communication. Practically, lot of people we will see in the practical also. If you are telling them good also, they will not change their behavior or their personality, whatever thing, attitude in the, because resistant to change. That is also acting as a barrier. And distraction and inattentiveness. If you don't have attentiveness, some certain distractions are there, are present. That is also the uh, barrier for the communication. And selective perception. See, if this thing, she is thinking it is 8 from this side, but he is thinking it is infinity. So that is perception also different, because one same incident, different persons will perceive in different types, because the perception will act as a barrier. For example, any leader is doing some anti-social work, even though some people will perceive it as it is a normal thing, some will tell that it is a very offensive or criminal thing, because of their perception, because it is common, some people will think. So like that, the perception is also acting as a barrier for the effective communication or effective understanding of the things. Then the same emotional, also the attitudinal barrier. Some person's attitude behavior is always prevent the people from communicating effectively. If you are telling new concepts also, the attitude or behavior of that student or that any receiver is like that, I know everything. Then you, if you teach anything, then they will not receive your message or information properly. That is also barrier, that is attitudinal barrier. Attitude acts like a barrier for the proper communications. And another one is personal or individual barriers, because of everyone is different, since because is geographical, social, educational, occupational background, some characteristic inherited or family background, everything is different for different. Then persons also have different speed in the talking and listening. That all matters in the effective communications. So that thing we call as a personal or individual barriers. For example, if 10 students are listening my class, in every class, the one person will telling that I am not understanding anything. That type of barrier we call as individual or personal barrier, because of his personal things, his environment growth. So he will never effectively communicate as compared to the others. Individual barriers. The any is disrupting the proper communication in that person, then it is personal or individual barriers. Barriers. Language is also act as a communication channel, because majority of communication will happens by the language only. The linguistic barrier, the sometimes the language is also act as a barrier. For example, I don't know Gujarati, but I am working in Gujarat. But any notice come in the Gujarat from Gujarat Ayurveda University, I am not able to read it. That thing we called as a linguistic barrier. Because I am not able to read the Gujarati. Then if any communication from university, I am not able to understand that. I need some translator or any other person's help. Then it is called as barrier of effective communication. So linguistic barrier, that is difference in language. And in sometimes, even though I know this some language, but the clearly if person is not speaking clearly, then also the proper communication is not taking. He is telling something, but I am not understanding what he am telling, because no clear speech. Regional accent, for example, in even in Karnataka also, speaking of Kannada is different in different parts. If you go to the Hubli side, that is different accent is there. In Bangalore side, different accent. In Gulbarga, Bidar. So every region wise, the accent of the language will be different. It happens in the all the state. Then there is a some communication barrier will happen. So if any Bangalore person come and talking in the Gulbarga, then the accent and some words we will not easily understood. Some amount of understanding that language, what they are actually telling. That time we have the some barrier for the understanding that thing, because of regional accent and this language difference in this small changes in the and variety of the meaning. So because one word is giving particular meaning in the this region, the same word is sorry, the same word, the same word is giving different manner in the giving the different meaning in the other place. For example, can anyone give the example? The same word will be understood by differently in different regions. Hello? In your language, the same word, if you using that word in your village, the same word is having different meaning in the different context. Have you ever experienced this type? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Can anyone give example?
Um, Sir, I'm from
In your
Karnataka.
uh,
ಓಕೆ ಇನ್ ಬೀದರ್ ಬೆಳಗದು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಪಾತ್ರೆ ತೊಳೆಯೋದು ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಇನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಸಾರಿ ಇನ್ ಗುಲ್ಬರ್ಗ ಬೆಳಗದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆರತಿ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂತಾರೆ.
okay, so this is the example, because variety of meaning. For example, in Karnataka, if our side Bangara means gold. We usually tell Bangara means gold. But in near Maharashtra, nearest to border, Bangara means waste thing. They will understand Bangar means that is waste material, dust materials, because they come as a waste. So the same word having variety of meaning in different situation. That is also barrier for communication. Well, while I am speaking I am telling Bangara to this person, he is understanding or she is understanding why he is speaking about waste. But I am speaking about gold, because Bangara means that indicating gold in my region. So this type of variety of meaning is acting as a barrier in the effective communication. And word choice. If our choosing of word in different situation, the improper word if you use, that is also acting as a barrier for the communication. For example, any situation, if I am using word that is not suitable, that is not giving the proper information at that situation, that then it is act as a barrier. That is called language barrier. Indeed, in total, the language barrier is also acting as a disruption in the proper communication. For example, this is alag alag language, alag alag words are there, alag meaning, different meanings are there. Then technical and mechanical barriers. Technical and mechanical barriers means what? If I am communicating with you by internet, if any internet connection is get lost, then it is called as technical error. If my audio is not audio, my voice is not audible to you, if my video is not receiving by you, then there is a technical problem or technical barrier. And sometimes the technological barrier. Technological barrier means I am using this Google meeting platform for this class. If I don't know how to use this Google platform properly, then the technological knowledge, the technological things is acting as a barrier. If I don't know how to share screen, then it will leads to the barrier or distraction in this class. I will start the class, but I am not able to share this my screen. Then it is the barrier. It will not leading the effective communication, effective classroom. It happens in many of times. If you join any webinar or seminar, the speaker does not able to share his screen or his voice is not audible. The seminar or webinar goes half an hour like this. The webinar goes to arrange his voice or to share his screen because of he don't know that platform of meeting. It is not like that he is a low person, but he don't know that technology. Then it act as a barrier for the effective communication. What do you think? Then he is not able to share the screen or his voice. Then we will think he does not know, because that creating the barrier. The workshop or seminar will delayed by half an hour or 1 hour because of that thing or any technical problem. So these are acting as a barrier for the effective communication. Besides, there are other barriers like cultural barriers due to specific language, unclarified assumption, varying behavior and beliefs. They are also acting like a barrier. For example, the same festival is celebrating differently in different parts of India. Can anyone give example? Hello. For example, Yugadi. We will call it as a Yugadi festival because we will celebrate at a different manner in India, that is Karnataka. Then the same Yugadi in Maharashtra, what they call Gudi Padwa. The celebration is somewhat different. They are celebrating in the Maharashtra. What in other state? Can anyone tell in your state what how you celebrate the same? Or for example, Deepavali. Even though the Deepavali is same for whole country, the nature of celebrating is different. Our culture is different. So that's why, but that's why also sometimes we will feel that we will celebrate like this the same festival, whether the that is same festival or not. It creating some confusion. But after that we will understood that the same festival, they people are celebrating differently. So the different culture is acting as a barrier to understand that their celebration. That's why the different cultural barriers also a different culture is also acting as a barrier for the effective communication. Sometimes initially we don't know what they are doing. After the end we will understand, yes, this is the festival what we celebrate in the other name, but they are doing like that because of different culture. So the different cultures, specific language, and some of the special behavior, the culture, everything is acting as a barrier for the communications. So these comes under the other barriers. Sometimes behavior. For example, in India, any elders comes, we will respect. But in other countries or foreigners, they have they don't have this type of things. Then if any Indian person goes to the uh, this person's home and any other foreign persons come to the India, they will see this type of practices, and they will not understood why everyone is standing. These people are coming because he don't know the our cultural and our behavior. Then the different cultural, different behavior and our beliefs. For example, if I am going to temple, I will not use the footwear inside the temple because that is my belief. But if my friend, he is Christian, but he is going to the church, but he will wear the shoes or chappals in the church also. But his belief is different, my belief is different. But here, whether he is correct, whether I am correct, does not matter. But his belief is like that, he is doing. My belief is like this, I am doing. So this type of different cultural things, different beliefs, are also sometimes leads to the barrier in the communication. But we have to understood their beliefs and respect their beliefs, and they should respect our beliefs. So in India, this thing, they this type of different cultural beliefs are used for the dividing the population. They may use for their any purpose. So because it is creating the barrier in between the persons, so that's why these type of beliefs, everything can be act as a barriers. So these are the things uh, uh, can act as a barriers in the effective communication. So diversity of culture, semantic means, in the semantic means another concept like that is, for example, if I am using any word, एक शब्द है, इसका डिक्शनरी मीनिंग इज डिफरेंट, डिक्शनरी मीनिंग इज डिफरेंट, बट अंडरस्टैंडिंग meaning is different. So that type of thing we called as a cannot give meaning. Anyone give the example? If any word having uh, meaning of in the dictionary, the meaning is different, but actually we are using that word in the different manner in day-to-day life understanding. So the meaning given by the dictionary is called as denotation. For example, here I am taking example sick. Sick meaning in the dictionary is actually poor health. अगर अपने डिक्शनरी में देखे तो उसका मीनिंग क्या होता है, सिक में मतलब क्या है, poor health. But sometimes if you are using that sick word in the different manner, I am a sick of that film, means here the sick word I am using in the meaning of impressive or exciting. I am a sick for that person. Here sick means I am impressive or exciting for that person or that film. But actual dictionary meaning is sick means poor health. So the meaning given by dictionary is called as denotation, but the connotation is the interpretation of person based on his emotion and situation, we called as connotation. Connotation. For example, same. For example, just I am telling whether it is suitable or not suitable. For example, gold ka dictionary meaning what? It is a metal type of a metal. But if anyone telling my son is gold, what you understand? If my mother telling my son is, then what will you understand? The meaning is different in this context, but the gold meaning in dictionary, that is one of the metal. That is. But in use that gold in this context, the meaning is different. That the dictionary meaning is called as denotation. The understanding meaning, the interpret that word is called as connotation, connotative meaning. So semantic barriers, the varied cannot connotative meanings, because even though the dictionary is different, we will use that word in this different manner, or we will understand that word by different. That type we called as connotative barrier. Can anyone give example like this? Meaning is different, but we are using that word in the different meaning. Anyone give example? All of you know, but day-to-day life you are, that is connotative meaning. The word have actually different meaning in the dictionary. Can any give the example if you experience or if you know? So this is about today's class. Whether you understand or not. Hello.
Yes.
I have shared notes in the group. I will share